Bophelo ke ntwa, mme re hloka ho sebetsa ka thata haholo ho iphedisa. Bongata ba rona re tla fumana mesebetsi, ha ba bang ba rona re tla sokola ho fumana mesebetsi ka lebaka la moruo wa kajeno o tlase haholo. Borakgwebo ba ntse ba hola, ba nka boikarabelo ka bokamoso ba bona ka ho laola tjhelete ya bona hantle. Lebitso la ka ke Mmarona Kgwele, mme o shebelletse Rands with Sense. Re le amohela hape ho Rands with Sense. Lenaneho le tlisetsang ditsela le mahlale a ho netefatsa hore le ba le bokamoso bo tjhatsi. Bongata bo fetang kotara ya batho ba batlang mosebetsi mona naheng ya rona ha ba fumane mosebetsi, ebile bongata ba sokola haholo ho fumana. Ebe ke hobaneng re na le bothata bona naheng ya rona?
Daar's 'n paar probleme wat werkloosheid in Suid-Afrika bevorder. Die een daarvan is strukturele probleme. Ons ekonomie groei te stadig. 2% ekonomiese groei 'n jaar is nie genoeg om werksgeleenthede vir almal te skep nie. Ongelukkig help probleme met Eskom en die staatsbesteding nie goed nie. Groei in Afrika hierdie jaar is baie positief, behalwe vir Suid-Afrika, wat baie jammer is. So, as ons dit kan regkry om ons ekonomie te begin groei, dan sal dit 'n groot verskil maak. En dit gaan maar gepaard met beleid. Dit is die staat se werk om 'n omgewing en die infrastruktuur te skep waarbinne klein besighede kan gedei. Wanneer dit goed gaan in die land, is dit goed vir internasionale besighede om hier te belê, maar as hulle moet bekommerd wees of daar genoeg elektrisiteit gaan wees om hulle fabrieke in die gang te hou en of die werksmag stabiel gaan wees of wanneer hulle gaan staak en wanneer hulle verhoor salarisse gaan vra wat hulle buite die mark plaas, dit is alles indikators vir negatiewe groei. So struktureel moet die land se infrastruktuur en se beleid verbeter om werksgeleenthede te skep. Dis die eerste ding. Die tweede ding is, daar moet 'n kultuur wees van werk. In oosterse lande is mense regtig bereid om hard te werk. En baie keer is Suid-Afrikaners nie so bereid om so hard te werk nie. Dis waarom die 9 miljoen geskatte onwettige immigrante so goed doen in Suid-Afrika. Hulle begin 'n besigheid op die hoek. Die Chinese, die Nigeriërs, almal van Afrika, die Malawians wat bereid is om harde werk te doen vir min geld. Ek sê nie dat mense geëksploiteer moet word nie, maar ons as Suid-Afrikaners moet leer om hard te werk en om effort in te sit.
Ekaba ho etsahalang ha re sa kgone ho fumana mesebetsi? Bongata ba rona re qetella re fellwa ke tshepo. Empa le ha ho le jwalo, ho na le batho ba bang ba nkang diqeto tsa ho iphedisa ka bo bona. Re bua ka tsona di-entrepreneur kapa borakgwebo ba ntseng ba hola.
Entrepreneur ke motho o simolang business. Batho ba batla go ba di-entrepreneurs for mabaka a farologaneng. Nako enngwe batho ba nyaka go ba di-entrepreneurs ka gonne ba nyaka go ba le income ya bona. Ba bang ba batla go nna di-entrepreneurs ka gonne ba bona opportunity ya go tswalla kepe mo marketeng. Batho ba ba startang di-business tsa bona ke batho gape ba ba nang maikarabelo and ba ba itseng gore bophelo ba bona bo mo matsogong a bona.
Hello, my name is Beki Punene, and I'm an entrepreneur. Basically, I own a design agency called Mentorship Media. We do brand development, websites, web development, and online marketing. In the design market, there's been a gap, and that's what I kind of picked up while studying. For one, I believe I am really good at what I do and was at the time, and just realized that around the township and the different places which I was engaging in, there wasn't really much branding. I remember if someone had signage outside the shop, it would either be written with a Koki pen or it would be something that's handmade. So I really just kind of felt that I could do something with a market and something with a gap. And that's what we've done with Mentorship. And 5-6 years later, still operating the business and enjoying it.
My current business, Nick Harry, was started in 2012 as a sock business, actually. I saw a gap in the market for brightly colored, exciting socks. I had just sold my previous company and decided that I wanted to show South Africans that you didn't need a lot of money to build a business. So what I did was I took 5,000 Rand and decided to start a business, any business, and it happened to be socks. I took that money and in 30 days, I set myself the task to build a website, sell a product, and have money to continue the business. And if I couldn't do that with this 5,000 Rand, I'd start again. And I did it. So took the 5,000 Rand, made some socks, put them on a website, and within a month I'd sold 800 pairs, had 30,000 Rand, and reinvested that money today. 2 years later, last year we sold 60,000 pairs of socks.
There's some important qualities for entrepreneurs which include the ability of, or one would say, having the right mindset or the right approach. You need to be optimistic. You need to be positive that things are going to work out well. Entrepreneurs also need the ability to get others on board with their vision. So it's not just important to have a vision or to have a goal, but also the ability to actually onboard people, to enroll people to that vision. And then too, entrepreneurs need to be action orientated. It's pointless having an idea but you don't act on it.
Ho nka boikarabelo ho netefatsa hore o na le bokamoso bo tjhatsi mabapi le tjhelete ke ntho e ka o fang bolokolohi. Potso ke hore na ebe mang kapa mang a ka kgona ho ba entrepreneur?
Anybody can become an entrepreneur. It's like leadership. We are all born with the potential to step into those qualities. I'm not convinced that entrepreneurs are born. I think with most things in life, they are made. So entrepreneurs determine a certain way of responding to situations and circumstances around them. So they may be great at spotting an opportunity, but that's not just what entrepreneurship is. It's about having the courage to actually follow through and act on that opportunity.
I don't think that deciding to be an entrepreneur is a decision that anyone makes consciously. I didn't make it consciously. I started my first business when I was in my teens. So I think it just is part of who I am, and I don't really know how to be any other way.
Ekaba o nahana hore le wena o na le bokgoni ba ho iqalla kgwebo mme o iketsetse tjhelete? Ke ana makgabane a mang a bontshang bokgoni ba ho ba entrepreneur.
Bagwebi ba itse gore ba tshwanetse go inagana ka thata ba sa tshameke ka matshelo a bone. Ba ikemiseditse go leka dilo tse dintšhwa. Fela ba itse gore ba tshwanetse go naganela ko pele ka go tlhotlhomisa seo ba batlang go se leka. Bagwebi ba itse go baakanya mathata a bone ka go dirisa kelello le ka tlwaelo. Fa o ipuletse kgwebo, go tla nna le mathata ao o kopanang le ona. Go botoka gore o itse gore o tla baakanya mathata ao fa o kopana le ona. Bagwebi ba itse go ikgalemela. Ga o iperekela, go ra gore ga a yo motho o tla go rotloetsang go dira mmereko o e leng wa gago. O tshwanetse go ithotloetsa gore o kgone go tswella pele. Motho o ipulelang kgwebo o na le bokgoni gape wa itse gore go botlhokwa jang go bereka ka thata. Ga ona go bona madi a mantsi mo nakong e nnyane. O tla tshwanela go bereka ka thata gore kgwebo ya gago le yone e bone katlego. Fa o batla go eketsa kitso ya gago mabapi le go ipulela kgwebo e leng ya gago, re etele go randswithsense.co.za gape o shebane le rona mo Facebook.
Haeba o na le a mang a makgabane ana, le wena o ka nka qeto ya ho iqalla kgwebo ya hao. Ho qala kgwebo ho ka bonahala e le mokgwa o bobebe wa ho iketsetsa tjhelete. Empa ho na le dintho tse ngata haholo tse ka o sitisang ho atleha.
So before I started this company, I actually ran multiple others. I've, in the last 10 years, started 10 businesses, 8 of which have failed. The previous one I sold, and now I run this one. I think that businesses fail in general, and my previous businesses have failed for a variety of reasons. Failure is a definite path to success, and mine have failed because the product wasn't right for the market, the timing was wrong, I didn't have enough funding, a multiple of reasons, but in the end I think failure gets you to success.
E ba le rona hape ka mora papatso. Ha re tswella pele ho ithuta ka ho iqalla kgwebo le ho etsa Rands with sense. Re le amohela hape ho Rands with sense. Lenaneo le buang ka bokamoso ba rona ba tjhelete. Kajeno re ithuta ho tswa ho borakgwebo ba ntseng ba hola mona Afrika Borwa le hore o hloka eng ho iqalla kgwebo e leng ya hao. Ka baka la hore batho ba bangata mona naheng ya rona ba hloka mesebetsi, ho iqalla kgwebo tsa rona e ka ba e nngwe ya ditharollo. E ka ba sena se ka atlehisa moruo wa rona le ho fokotsa bofuma jwang.
The entrepreneurs they contribute positively to economy ya rona mo country e. Ka ge le itse unemployment rate ya rona e go godimo ene batho a ba fumane mebereko. Gona yaanong a lot of people ba rely mo governmenting who create a mebereko. Entrepreneurship is a way of who ira sure gore batho ba ba le di opportunities or who generate income on their own, and this in a way it contributed to economy ya lefatshe la rona, because ge motho a start a business, he business ya hae ntse e gola o employer batho ba bang gape, and ha ntse employer batho bao le bona ba fumana income. So ge business e ntse e gola, batho le bona ba starta go ba le income through employment e le gore business eo e tlabe e create. Mme seo ke se bontshang gore entrepreneurship e kgona go fedisa tlhophego, ka gonne ge wena o simolla business ya gago a e felle mo fela, o kgona le go fa batho ba ba monyetla wa go iphedisa, and seo sona ke sona se se irang gore economy ya lefatshe la rona e kgone go gola.
Re ile ga botsa ditsebi tsa rona ka mathata eo borakgwebo ba ntseng ba hola ba tobaneng le ona mona Afrika Borwa.
Die grootste probleem wat entrepreneurs deesdae in die gesig staar, is om op 'n mark te besluit wat nie al te gevestig is nie. Maar kompetisie in die mark is die moeilikste ding om jouself in te beklei. Jy moet 'n produk hê wat uniek is en die beste resultaat sal lewer teen 'n lae insetkoste. Baie nuwe entrepreneurs finansiële hulle besighede deur lenings by die bank te gaan aanvra as hulle iets groter wil finansier, of samesmelting saam met 'n ander entrepreneur met 'n besigheidsplan wat al goedgekeur is, of uit hulle eie kapitaal uit wat hulle oor die jare opgespaar het en iets wou mee doen. Die groot probleem is met al drie daai gevalle is nie almal het 'n vaste kliëntebasis wat die produk wat hulle wil lewer gaan koop nie. So die uitdaging daar sal wees om eers jou kliëntebasis of kliënt gevestig te kry voordat te veel finansies uitgesit moet word om jou besigheid op die been te bring.
Some of the challenges to starting a business in South Africa involve government restrictions. It's very complicated and long to actually build a business through the CIPC. It takes 3 months to register a company, never mind registering for tax and all the other things that you have to do as a business.
Some of the challenges that I have faced has obviously been the red tape. There's a lot of red tape and things you need to really be registered with to be taken seriously. Corporations don't really want to do business with small businesses, and there's certain procedures one has to get through. And I believe that's really been a big challenge, you know. And apart from that, just finding the right team players and people who will be key in growing the business has really been a bit of a challenge, in a sense that you'll find someone, but they probably have the character but not the skill, or someone has the skills but doesn't really have the personality or the character to fit with the brand. And yeah, that's been a really big challenge.
Dilo tse lo gore di fa di entrepreneur challenge ge ba starta business ke gore a bana kitso e felletseng about business e ba irana. O gopoleng gore he o starta business o tshwanetse go itse dilo tse ngata ka go rana business ya gago. O tshwanetse o itse about marketing, o tshwanetse o itse about go rekisetsa batho, o tshwanetse o itse ka tsa ditšhelete gore di managewa bjang, gape o tshwanetse o itse gore batho ba managewa bjang. Nako enngwe ge motho a starta business ba starta a itse fela ka ntho a batla go etsa, and not necessarily ka go rana business. And he o le rakgwebo or makgwebo ko gae, o tshwanetse o itse gore ke eng selo se o tshwanetseng go se itse ka business gore business ya gago e kgone go gola. O kana wa botsa batho ba eleng gore ba kile ba rana di business before, wa ya ko bona wa botsa gore ke starta business, ke kopa le nthuseng ka advice. O ka fumana le motho a ka ba mentor wa gago mo businesseng, wa mmotsa gore ke rana business, ke kopa o nthuse gore ke tlhaloganye gore ke eng se ke se tlhokang go ira gore business ya gago yaka e phumelle.
Borakgwebo ba bangata ba ngodisa dihlahiswa, di-trademark le di-design tsa bona ho di tshireletsa tshebedisong e mpe le boshodu. Sena se bitswa intellectual property protection. Na ebe wena o tseba ditokelo tsa thepa ya hao na?
Umthetho we-copyright uvikela konke okubhaliwe, umculo, ukulingisa kanye nokuchupha umsindo, umdumo kanye nezinhlelo zekhompyutha. I-copyright asikho isidingo sokuthi uyenze la eNingizimu Afrika. Ikhona futhi inikeza lowo owenze umsebenzi ilungelo elikhethekile. Uma wenza umkhiqizo omusha, i-patent law ivimbela abanye ukwenza noma ukubonisa lokho okusunguliwe. Okubalulekile, umthetho wama-trademarks. I-trademark kungaba uphawu oluhamba nomkhiqizo wakho, njengegama lomkhiqizo, ilogo noma isimo. Uma ufuna ukuvikela i-trademark yakho, udinga ukubhalisa ku-Companies and Intellectual Property e-ofisini lasePitoli. Okokugcina, sine-Law of Registered Designs. Lokho okwenziwe kungawela ngaphansi kwezihlelo ezimbili, Functions and Aesthetics. Ucezu lobucwebe lingawela ngaphansi kwe-Aesthetics, kuthi ithayela elisha lingawela ngaphansi kwe-Functional Design. Uma ufuna ukwazi kabanzi, vakashela urandswithsense.co.za, uthande ikhasi lethu la ku Facebook.
Ho tseba ditokelo tsa hao mabapi le intellectual property ya hao ke ntho e bohlokwa haholo. Ha re kgutla papatsong, re tlo bona hore ho thata jwang ho atleha ho iqalla kgwebo ya hao. Dula o na le rona. O shebelletse Rands with Sense. Mika jeno, re bua ka hore o hloka eng ho ba e mong wa borakgwebo ba ntseng ba hola. Ho bohlokwa haholo ho ba le tjhelete e lekaneng ha o qala kgwebo ya hao. Hobane ha hona motho ya batlang ho iphumana a kene dikolotong.
Ho tseya sekoloto ho starta business ke ntho eo o le hore o ka etsa as option ya gago ya bofelo. Ho tseya nako hore o be le customers. Ho tseya nako hore o be le tšhelete mo businessing e tlo irang hore o patele back dikoloto sa gago. And the other thing ko hore o lebelle hore the expenses tsa gago di eme yang. He e le hore the expenses tsa gago di feta tšhelete e kenang mo businessing ya gago, a wa tshwanela go tseya sekoloto ka gonne go ra gore o tlo palelwa go patela sekoloto seo. So pele o tseya sekoloto tshwantse o iputsise gore ke tlo kgona na go patela sekoloto seo.
Ha re ke re boneng hore batho ba iqallang kgwebo tsa bona tse ntjha ba ka qoba ho kena dikolotong jwang.
Go na le ntho e ba e bitsang crowdfunding. Crowdfunding ke ntho e ntšha e simolotseng gona yaanong. E simolotse ke batho ba e leng gore ne ba ntse ba sa kgone go starta di-business ka mabakeng a tšhelete. So crowdfunding e ra gore o ya go bathong wa ba botsa gore ke batla go starta business, ke kopa bokana from each and every one of you. O ka ya go bathong ba ba 10 wa ba kopa 500 rand each if o a itse gore go tlhoka 5,000 to go starta business ya gago. Ge o batla starta business ya gago go tlhoka madi a fetang ao, o ya to more people o ba kopa di small amounts go starta business ya gago. O ka ba botsa hore o tla ba patela back, o ka ba botsa hore ge o ntse o etsa madi mo businessing and business ya gago e growa o tla ba patela back with interest. So go na ne dilo tse o ka di irang go make sure hore o ba le madi a go fanetsa business ya gago.
Ho iqalla kgwebo ho thata, mme ho etsa hore kgwebo eno e atlehe ho ka ba boima le ho feta. Ho ya ka ditsebi, bonyane ba 80% ya dikgwebo tse ntjha mona Afrika Borwa di hloleha ho atleha ka mora lemo tse 2 fela. Ebe sena se bakwa ke eng?
Na 2 jaar kry baie besighede se eienaars groot kop, begin onnodig spandeer en glad nie meer gaan soek vir nog besigheid nie. Baie van die goed wat die baase doen in so 'n geval is koop nuwe voertuie, begin spattig leef, wonderlike vakansies, werk nie meer so hard aan die verkope kant van die besigheid wat die brood en botter is van die besigheid en verwag dat die besigheid op sy eie 2 bene moet aangaan. 'n Besigheid na 2 jaar is nog steeds 'n babietjie. Dit moet nog steeds gevoed word, gebub word en gegroei word voordat dit op sy eie 2 bene kan staan.
Mola kgwebo e gola, masheleng a tsena, re a thagala. And ha ise masheleng jwalo ke di 100 rand, ke di 1000 rand, ke di million. Bothata e ba hore a re ska thagala go feta tekanyo. Ra thagala hore jwalo re thoma go senya tšhelete. Go gopola hore kgwebo ke kgwebo. A o tsebe bokamoso ba yona. Re bone kgwebo tše ntši tše kgolo, well established businesses di phutlagana.
And do not get enticed by what is happening out there, especially in your business, trying to live with the Johns and the Jens. You are different entrepreneurs at different levels. So you can look up to a person higher than you, but you don't have to live like them because your business has not yet grown to that level. So like we say for an individual, live within your means, live within the means of your business. Live at its level. Do not stretch it. The moment you start stretching it, you're killing it.
Hona ne mabaka a mangata why the business disappointed in those first 2 years. One of them ke cash flow. Cash flow ke the lifeblood. If it's the lifeblood of the business. Ge business ya gago go sna tšhelete mo yona, business ya safara.
Some of the financial challenges in keeping a business afloat and Mindtrix afloat have really just been your day-to-day business struggles, such as, for example, breaking down some equipment while in the middle of production, and you don't have really cash reserves. And sometimes that can become a bit of a problem if the company doesn't have cash reserves. And being a small business, you really are living a system where it's hand to mouth. And having cash reserves is a bit of a luxury when you started out, or when we started out. So that's really been a bit of a challenge for me.
One of the ways steady kairang hore as entrepreneur hore enough cash flow mo businessing, could keep a good financial records. Ho itse hore ho etsahalang mo businessing ya hao. Ho reka bomang ka bokae go na le bokae mo businessing ya hao. Business ya hao e tlhoka bokae hore e kgone go rekisetsa di customer tsa hao.
It's pretty important that founders take care of their finances in the beginning so that you understand the financial status of your business. So I use a lot of online tools that give me access to what's happening in my business all the time. I make sure that I understand the cash flow and I understand what invoices are coming in and aren't paid yet. But as we've grown and I'm not just the sole founder anymore, it's been important to take on someone who is good at that. So we've got a CFO now who manages our finances, checks our bank account every day.
Elke maand moet jy kyk na wat se inkomste het ingekom teenoor wat se uitgawes uitbetaal. As daai 'n negatiewe syfer is, beteken waar jy meer uitgawes uitbetaal as inkomste wat ingekom het, doen die besigheid glad nie goed nie. En daai moet op 'n maandelikse basis nagegaan word om te kyk dat jy oor die termyn wel 'n groei toon, beteken jy kry meer inkomste in as wat jy uitbetaal. En dit moet ook teen 'n begroting vergelyk word waar jy 'n mikpunt vir jouself gestel het waar jy wil wees na 'n jaar. Elke keer as daai mikpunt bereik word, moet dit opgeskryf word. So dis hoe jou besigheid elke maand groei.
Ha o khutla papatsong, re tlo bona hore mathata a mang a ho qala kgwebo e ntjha ke afe. Me re bone hore naha ya rona e fana ka menyetla e feng. Ena ke Rands with sense. Me kajeno re ithuta ka entrepreneurship. Kajeno re ithuta ho tswa ho borakgwebo ba ntseng ba hola mona Afrika Borwa le hore o hloka eng ho iqalla kgwebo e leng ya hao. Malapa a mangata mona Afrika Borwa a nka qeto ya ho iqalla dikgwebo mmoho, mme dikgwebo tsena di ka ba sebeletsa ha fela ba dumellana ka dintho tse itseng. Ke tsena dikeletso tse ka thusang kgwebo tse laolwang ke malapa.
Hallo, my naam is Karen Smit en ek is 'n Suid-Afrikaner met 'n gestremdheid. Finansiële kwessies is net so belangrik vir my en persone met gestremdhede soos vir alle mense. Vandag wil ek met julle gesels oor familie en besigheid. As jy en jou familie saam in 'n besigheid is dit baie belangrik om seker te maak jul persoonlike verhoudings meng nie in by jul besigheid nie. Wanneer mens 'n besigheid bestuur, moet mens probeer om so logies en rasioneel moontlik te wees. Te veel emosie en sensitiwiteit in die werksomgewing kan baie probleme veroorsaak. Nie net tussen menseverhoudings nie, maar ook vir die besigheid self. Probeer op nie oor persoonlike dinge by die werk te praat nie. Los dit vir byeenkomste saam met die familie. En moet ook liefs nie by hierdie byeenkomste heeltyd net oor werk praat nie. Dis belangrik om 'n mens se werkslewe en persoonlike lewe te onderskei, veral as jy 'n besigheid saam met jou familie het. Moenie bang wees om jou opinie te lewer nie. Indien jy nie saamstem met wat 'n familielid doen nie, sê hoe jy voel, maar doen dit met respek. Moenie in 'n stryery betrokke raak nie. Laastens, maak seker daar is skriftelike ooreenkomste wanneer jy besluite oor die besigheid maak. Alhoewel ons almal graag ons geliefdes wil vertrou, is dit altyd wys om belangrike dinge op skrif te sit en te onderteken. Onthou, op die einde van die dag is dit jou houding wat jou lewe bepaal. Neem intelligente besigheidsbesluite en maak jou drome waar.
Ka baka la hore batho ba bangata ba hloka mesebetsi naheng ya rona, ma-Afrika Borwa a mangata a bona ho iqalla dikgwebo e le yona tsela ya ho iphedisa. Ekaba sena se ama maemo a bophelo le dikamano tsa bona jwang?
Look, entrepreneurship's not for sissies. It's a tough life. It comes with a tremendous amount of sacrifice. And entrepreneurs generally work 10 times harder than somebody who's working for somebody else. If you work for a corporate or an organization, if you get sick, you have a sick day, you get annual leave. But if you're running your own business as an entrepreneur, a sick day is production time. Annual leave is production time.
People think that you take back your time when you become an entrepreneur and you control what you do and how you do it. And I don't. I work 18 hours a day most days. I work 7 days a week most days, which is more than almost any corporate employee that I know. So that's probably the major way that my life has changed becoming an entrepreneur, is I work a hell of a lot more and control a lot less of my time. Balancing the life of an entrepreneur is difficult, and I struggle with it a lot. I want to work all day, every day. But realistically, that is not a healthy way to live, and the most productive and successful entrepreneurs do run, they do eat healthily, they do get a lot of sleep. And it's hard when you're building something new to understand that. I think it's important in my life to have people around me that remind me when I need to stop and take a break and eat dinner. Having a business that I run with my partner makes that a little bit more challenging, because Jen has become as driven as I am. And I think in my life, what makes the difference is a support structure of other entrepreneurs who also remind each other that it's time to take a break or go for a run or go to the beach. So I think friend structure, people outside of your business, is an important thing to have.
I just really learned this one thing when I had the opportunity to meet Richard Branson, where he said, you've got to really find a balance, he said, and just explaining that a balance between your wealth, health, and your relationships, because at the very first few years of my business, I was just focusing on the business and wealth, and he said, it's good, but what is wealth without relationships? What are relationships without wealth and your health? And I just really have come to understand that all those things are intertwined. So I try and live a well-balanced life.
For an entrepreneur, their sacrifices may include the time that they have available for personal relationships, because all of a sudden now your day is not 8 hours anymore. It's a 17-hour day. You're working weekends. You have to be there for your clients. But it's never a good idea to sacrifice relationships for the sake of business. It's never a good idea to sacrifice family, because then it becomes an expense. Successful business people talk about being able to build fantastic businesses at the expense of their family. All talk about, if they had the opportunity to do it differently, they would do it differently. And so we encourage people not to fall into that same trap. Sacrificing relationships, and particularly family, for the sake of business success is never sustainable. You end up rich, but not necessarily happy.
Dikeletso tse tla le thusa ho fumana khutso le khotso dikamanong tsa lona le baratuwa ba lona mabapi le tjhelete ke tsena.
Ni songo dzumbela mufarisi wanu kushumisele kwanu kwa masheleni. Ni fulufhedze kha nḓila ya kushumisele kwanu kwa masheleni, ni ambe ni khagalanga kuvhonele kwanu kwa zwa masheleni. Ivani na ngoho, hone ni shumise kha zwine na nga swikelela fhedzi. Ivani khagala kha uri ni na vhugai, hone ni songo lingedza u badela zwithu zwine ni nga si zwi swikelele. Dzulani noṱhe fhasi ni vhe zwipikwa zwa mugaganyagwama na zwipikwa zwa masheleni zwine na ṱoḓa u zwi swikelela. Ni songo shumisa masheleni sa tshiṱangu kha mufarisi wanu. u dinalea hu nga si tandululwe nga tshelede. Vhudzisani mufarisi wanu uri vho dinwa ngani kana inwi ni dinwa ngani. U wana nyeletshedzo nnzhi iyani kha randswithsense.co.za kana siaṱari ḽashu ḽa Facebook.
Jwale ka ha re se re utlwile hore ke eng ho ba entrepreneur, ha re boneng hore dikgwebo tse kgolo mona Afrika Borwa tsona di etsa eng ho thusa batho ba bang ba ratang ho ba di-entrepreneur.
Rona mo The Hope Factory re etsa hore di-entrepreneurs di fumane di-resources tse ba di tlhokang hore di-business tsa bona di phumelle. Rona program ya rona, the first thing e re offerang ke mentorship. Di-entrepreneurs ba fumana mentor. Di-mentor tsa rona bo botlhe ke batho ba eleng gore nkile ba starta dikgwebo, nkile ba godisa dikgwebo tsa bona before ba tlang bo institutioneng ya rona. Re etsa sure gore batho ba re ba kopantshang le di-entrepreneurs ke batho ba eleng gore ba itse ka go hodisa di-business. The other thing e re etsang ke gore re fa batho ba rona training e irang gore di-entrepreneurs di khona go ba le kitso e loketseng gore ba godise dikgwebo tsa bona. Dilo tse rona re lebellang ke gore ge re o hodisitse as entrepreneur, o khona le wena gore o hodise ba bang, o khona le wena gore o hodise community ko o tswang go teng, o khona le wena gore o create mebereko gore batho ba bang le bona ba khone go gola ka thuso e rona The Hope Factory tla be re o fileng yona.
If we look at the scenario, particularly in this country, we understand the importance for the multiplier effect, the ability to actually amplify the impact. So if you have one successful entrepreneur, if he or she is able to help 10 other people replicate that, the impact is self-explanatory, rather than holding on to the skills and expertise. Therefore, the each one teach one approach is fundamental to economic growth in the country.
Ebang le rona hape ka mora papatso, ha re fumana dikeletso tse molemo ho tswa ho borakgwebo ba ntseng ba hola le ditsebi tsa rona. Re le amohela hape ho Rands with Sense mona SABC 2. Ka jeno re bua ka entrepreneurship le ho nka taolo ya bophelo ba hao le bokamoso ba hao. Na ebe le wena o na le maikutlo a ho iqalla kgwebo ya hao o itshebetse? Ha re utlwe hore ditsebi tsa rona di re fa dikeletso dife mabapi le taba ena.
Ge o batla ho simolla kgwebo, ntho ya mathomo e ka e kopang gore o etse ko gore o itse ntho e batlang. Ke bone batho ba ngata ba startang di-business because batho ba bang ba starta di-business. O etse sure gore you plan for business ya gago. Planning ira gore o bone gore di-challenges tse o ka di faceang ko pele ke eng. E etsa gore o tlhaloganye gape gore business ya gago e tlhokang. E etsa gore o itse gore o tlhoka bomang mo businesseng ya gago go etsa gore e khone go gola.
In my experience, entrepreneurs tend to find one another and build support structures around each other. So it's important for me to have myself surrounded by people like that. Finding them is a little bit more difficult, but you tend to gravitate towards one another when you're out having a beer or at events and that sort of thing. So for me, I've carefully picked a whole bunch of people that I trust to be around me and experience the things that I experience.
But make sure that included in that group of people are people who are realistic. Because sometimes we can be so turned on by the dream and the passion that we actually lose sight of the reality. So it's important to have people around you that are honest.
Ge o simolla business ya gago, re tshwantse re gopole gore business ya gago e simolla ko wena kwena as motho o tlabeng a irana and hore business eo e atlege o tshwantse o itse hore ke eng makoa a gago ke eng dilo tse leng hore o good mo tsona wena ikitse pele because business is start ka wena ikitse hore o mang o batla eng ke eng selo se o batla go se bonang ka bophelo ba gago and then o ka start a business ya gago.
So I think what I learned from my previous business experience, I had many small businesses, is that they weren't very suited to my skill set, and also I wasn't passionate about them. And without that passion, you can't put in the required amount of time, and without that time, you don't become a specialist. I think my best advice is for somebody to really become a specialist at something, and become an expert at that, and once you become an expert, those opportunities kind of start coming to you. You know, people know you're the go-to person for that deal or this deal. So I don't think ever to spread yourself across various industries, especially in the beginning, is a good idea. Maybe later you can diversify. But in the beginning, it's about putting your head down, choosing one thing, becoming really good at it, and letting the opportunities flow from there.
A lot of the guys that I've really come across have too many things and they aren't quite focused. So I believe narrowing it down is one key thing which I've really kind of picked up over time.
Swara di customer habot. Oba hlompe, ba go hlompa. Provide good service. Je o bereka nga tsona in your business. Ha eba ke dijo, dira hore ke dijo tsa maema go tsebagala, di fresh every day. Ha ile diaparo, ke diaparo tsa maema go tsebagala, di mo seemong sa go swanelega. So everything e o dira hore like lwena o nyaka hore mo yang o ile reka o fiwe dilo tsa maemo a go tsebaga a go lebega and treat your customers very well.
Ke tsena di top tips tse tla thusa borakgwebo hore ba atlehe.
Lebelela dikgoba. Hwetša sekgoba mmarakeng o gopole ka go fetola seemo sa gago sa ikonomi le sa legae. Hwetša seo se sa tshwanego ka ditšweletša le ditirelo tša gago go tša ba bangwe. Ge eba o thomile tšweletšo ya diaparo tša gago, di hlokomele gore di bapana bjang le tša baphadišani bja gago. O ka ba o sena se ba se hlokago. Efela, o ka hwetša lebaka la gore batho ba reka go wena e seng go baphadišani ba gago. E ba le dikgohlano. Kgwebo ke ya selegae. Go hlokega go tseba le go kopana le batho. O hloka bareki go dira tšhelete. Ke ponelopele e kae. Go tlo go tšea nako go dira tšhelete. Se fele pelo. Kgotlelela. Laola ditiro. O hloka go šoma ka thata gore o tle o kgone go ba le katlego. Go tšentši, etela rands.sense.co.za o re botše gore o nagana ka pontšho ya lehono goba go letlakala la Facebook.
Ha se moo he, dikeletso tse molemo ho thusa bohle ba nang le thahasello ya ho iqalla kgwebo. Pele re qetella lenanehong la kajeno, ha re ke re utlwe hore setsebi sa rona sa tjhelete se reng.
Hopola se, bjale ka ge o le monga kgwebo, go na le kgwebo ka mo le wena ka mo. Account ya kgwebo e swara ga botse o ihlokomele le account ya gago e swara ga botse o ihlokomele. Kgwebo ke yona e tsenyang tšhelete, wa ya aroganya, o ipha salary e tsena ka accounting ya gago. Ya tšhelete tša kgwebo di šala ka moki ebile o di hlokomela ka ona mokgwa, so that o kgone go bona tšhomišo ya tsona le kgolo ya tsona. Di ska kopana. Ke go botse ga di arogane, o kgone go di tracer ga botse, o kgone go tracka tšhelete ga botse, o kgone go šomiša ga botse ebile o kgone go bona ga ya gola.
think entrepreneurship definitely gives people an opportunity to improve their lives. And it's not something that's for everybody. I think some people are better suited to working for people. But if you feel that you have the qualities, the leadership qualities, the perseverance, the ideas to become an entrepreneur, then there's a huge shortage of entrepreneurs in South Africa and many opportunities to take advantage of gaps in the market. So I do suggest it as a way of life.
Business has really changed the financial situation in a sense that I think differently with regards to money. I don't really respond and act the same way that I used to as a younger guy growing up in the township. And I mean, evidently enough, you reap the rewards. So financially, it's really changed my life.
Selebaleng di top tips tsa rona tse tharo. Ya pele, fumana tsela tse ding tsa ho eketsa tjhelete ya hao. Ya bobedi, sebedisa tjhelete e ka tlase ho mogolo wa hao. Ya boraro, etsa dintho tsena ka bobedi ba tsona. Ke nna Mmarona Kgwele, dulang le etsa Rands with sense. Le sebedisa tjhelete ya lona ka makgethe ma Afrika Borwa. Salang hantle.